DJ Scream, heavy in the streets.
We gon' get it, we gon' get it, we gon' get it. We gon' get it, we gon' get it. Get it in blood. Get it in blood. We gon' get it, we gon' get it, we gon' get it. We gon' get it, we gon' get it. Get it in blood. Get it in blood.
Hood rich.
Get it out the mud.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And welcome back. Welcome back. We are back already, and we have some more appetizers for you, some appetizers. And I'm talking about those results from this past Saturday, March 7th, 2026. So this past Saturday, we had UFC 326. So that was UFC 326. Holloway versus Oliveira 2. So that's Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2. And that was for the BMF title. And they were fighting and they were defending it. Holloway was defending it at lightweight, 155. And so this was a UFC promotion. We just mentioned the date, March 7th, 2026. So this past Saturday. And that was at the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada, United States, and that's Las Vegas. And the attendance was 19,480 and 8.3 million at the gate. So yeah, at least those numbers always popping, always banging. So that's really nothing new for the UFC. But let's get into this a little bit. Let's get into just the prelim here, and then we'll ask for our menu over here, and we'll get into the main cards and some of our picks and just kind of the whole opinion over the card. But let's get into just that, the prelim. So I wasn't really that tightly or really focused and tuned in to the early prelims, but I definitely caught the one finish from it, and there was a couple of decisions from those early prelims. But the first fight on the card for the early prelims was a light heavyweight bout between Rodolfo Bellato versus Luke Fernandez, and Bellato got a quick knockout over him at the 242 mark of the first round, and I caught the highlights of it where he just kind of came out like a blaze of fire, like a tornado. And once he got Luke Fernandez rocked at all, he just completely emptied the tank on him with ground and pound until Luke Fernandez just wilted under the pressure. So that was a pretty impressive knockout, just in regards to you don't really see a lot of guys just absolutely just empty the tank when they feel that they got a guy injured. They feel like they got him hurt, and that's where a lot of fighters tend to let their opponent recover when they actually do have him down bad. But there was none of that with Bellato on Luke Fernandez. He just wilted under just non-stopped punches coming his way after he showed just the slight evidence that he was maybe injured. And then let's see, the standard prelims, it was all right. I had a very interesting the results of the main event, the main fight on the standard prelims had an interesting results between Cody Garbrandt versus Zion Long. But before that, we had a pretty impressive submission choke by Alberto Montez versus Ricky Turcio with an impressive anaconda choke that was at the 42nd mark of the second round, and that was by technical submission. So he put him to sleep, and through the whole moments of them where he got him on the ground, and it looked like, oh, was he looking to try to just get into guard or just try to get full mount? And they're like, oh no, it looks like he's going for his patented anaconda choke. That's supposedly, they say he's the only one that does it. He has his certain method, and they were like, if you wanted to learn it, watch him do it right here to Ricky Tercios, who he put to sleep. So that was nice. So you got a couple finishes on the prelims, and then what I was talking about just earlier about the main event for the preliminary cards. You had Cody Garbrandt defeated Zion Long, and that was a decision 28-27, 28-27, 28-27. And I know some of y'all that maybe didn't watch the fight or uh, didn't look up the results are probably like scratching your head. How is there a 28-27, to where it looks as if a fighter lost all the rounds? Well, that's because in normal circumstances, it would be maybe the fighter that won maybe got a point taken away or something in that category. But this was completely different. This was due to multiple groin strikes by Long on Cody Garbrandt. So he got 2 points taken away, which you hardly ever see a fighter get 2 points taken away for an error that they've done. But it was three multiple illegal groin strikes, and then there was also a headbutt in there that maybe it helped Cody Garbrandt. That was probably the best shot Cody Garbrandt got on Long was the headbutt. But basically Long basically gave Cody Garbrandt the win. But I mean, Cody Garbrandt had to get kicked in the nuts three times to get it. But yeah, so not a lot of excitement on the prelims. I wouldn't say it was a real needle mover really in regards to saying like maybe it would have been nice enough to watch as a fight night, but that's kind of one of those you just brush off and kind of forget about in regards to the prelims on this card. But now then, so we talked about the prelims. We'll probably circle back around and mention a little bit more off of that when we get into the bonus awards. But now it's time to get onto the main card. So this is the main card, UFC 326, Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2. So let's get into this main card and get into my picks, which I thought I did all right. I did all right. I didn't get all of them right, but the couple ones that I did get right, I almost got the pick and the prediction, the method right. So let's get into that. So can I get a menu? And so the first fight on this card, a curtain jerker for UFC's main card, we had a middleweight bout between Gregory Rodriguez versus Bruno Ferreira. And that's the RoboCop Rodriguez and Hulk Bruno Ferreira. And these guys had fought before about 3 years ago, where Gregory Rodriguez, looked like he came into that fight and had a plan to beat Bruno Ferreira in their first matchup, but just got into a brawl, a street fight, a bar fight with Bruno Ferreira and ran into a KO punch and got knocked out in the first fight. But it seems like he thought about that, definitely did a lot of researching and studying about how that fight went. And, even though he's just 34 years old, he grew a lot in those 3 years. And you could see early on in this fight that Gregory Rodriguez, he's very tentative and very shy to like really throw anything out there early on in the fight. So really, he didn't really land like any punches until he really landed the one that ended Bruno Ferreira. So it was Bruno Ferreira getting off a little bit more early on in this fight and kind of trying to get close to Gregory Rodriguez, but he wasn't able to reproduce what he'd done in their first fight. So in the 147 mark of the first round, Bruno Ferreira just ran right into an overhand right by Gregory Rodriguez. And I mean, that was Gregory Rodriguez probably didn't really land more than half a dozen strikes in this fight before he landed the overhand right. And for those people that were giving Gregory Rodriguez a hard time for some of the brutal knockouts that he's given to some of these guys, they need to give him a round of applause or give him a pat on the back or something, because he could have followed up. He could have dropped an H-bomb on Bruno Ferreira, because after he like the overhand right he landed on him, it was like so hard, and like the second it landed, it shut Bruno Ferreira's lights out, that he almost like, it seemed like he like followed through with it all the way to like Bruno Ferreira like going to the ground, and then he's standing over him. Like I said, he could have dropped a bomb on him, but hey, like I said, growth within their first fight. So growth within him, almost killing guys with his one KO punches that he's getting on people. So to start off the main card and start off my predictions, got starting 1-0, got the pick and the method right. So a good nice way to start a card with that. So and the whole reason I was really just leaning towards Gregory Rodriguez, even though I knew that he'd been beaten by Brandon Ferreira, is just that Gregory Rodriguez, it just looks like he's like 2 weight classes bigger than Ferreira. Like he's like, what is he? He's like 6'3", and Bruno Ferreira is only like 5'10", 5'8". So it just looks like completely, it's just too small, too small. But anyways, so that the card, at least the main card, started out nice. So let's see if it continues and see if our picks continue and the exciting finishes continue on this card. So now then, on to the second fight on the card. We have a lightweight bout between two UFC veterans, longtime lightweights in the UFC, guys that have some of the most knockouts in the lightweight division in Drew Dober, and then some of the most knockdowns in UFC lightweight division in Michael Johnson. Well, this fight early on between Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson, it looked like Michael Johnson was getting off a little bit quicker, landing a little more, and looking faster than Drew Dober, even though he's 39 years old and gonna be 40 soon. Even though Drew Dober, I mean, he's 37, so it's not like he's a lot younger or anything. But yeah, so it looked like Michael Johnson was winning this fight until about the 153 mark of the second round. So you could have probably said that Michael Johnson had the first round under his belt, just winning and striking, because that's basically what this whole fight was just a stand-up fight. And then, like I said, at that 153 mark of the second round, you saw like a feint from Drew Dober, like a fake like jab from him, and then he comes over with this left hook and hits him, and kind of similar to the Gregory Rodriguez one. That's all it took, just that one hook, and he went down and looked like he was gonna kind of, right as he was about to kind of like follow up on it, the ref kind of knocks him down out of the way. So Michael Johnson, the older fighter, didn't have to take any more damage there. But yeah, so that didn't go the way I was thinking it would. I thought that Michael Johnson was probably just going to win this as kind of like as a point striking, and probably win by decision. And basically, it was going to expect it to just be a kickboxing bout, which I mean it was, but there ended up being a finish in the fight, and it wasn't Michael Johnson that got it. So we start the card early on, 1-1. And obviously didn't get the method or anything like that right, even if we were going with Drew Dober. But still, that was an impressive knockouts, a couple impressive knockouts to start this card. All right. So now then, on to the third fight on the card. We have a bantamweight bout between Raul Rosa Jr. versus Rob Font. And I originally picked Raul Rosa Jr. To win this fight. And even though Rob Font is such a tough guy and has hardly ever been submitted, and only ever been submitted one other time in his career, just once in his career at all. But Raul Rosa Jr., he's kind of known as kind of like a prodigy, jiu-jitsu prodigy, ground submission type of prodigy. Only just recently he's able to drink. He just turned 21, while you got Rob Font over here that's 38, will be 39 in June. And so I was hoping to see some more out of Raul Rosa Jr., just in regards to wanting to see him try to get a finish over Rob Font. Didn't expect it to be in the striking game at all, but I would have expected, would have hoped for a little bit more from Raul Rosa Jr. in regards to trying to go for submissions in this game, but it seemed there early on, like in the first round, Rob Font got off a couple times, and it was looked pretty clear that he's a better striker and he hits harder. That just kind of ended Raul Rosa Jr.'s thought or game plan of, oh, I'll stand and strike with him a little bit, because that completely just like ended that, to where Raul Rosa Jr. was just literally had maybe throw a little bit of strikes just to be able to get close to Rob Font, and then he was taking him down and just pretty much laying and praying. That's pretty much all it was. There wasn't a lot of ground and pound, but there was hardly any submission attempts. And I think, what was it, like in the fourth or the fifth round? Or no, they weren't fourth or fifth rounds, but I think it was in the third round where Rob Font was finally able to like reverse one of those moments where they were on the ground, but he wasn't able to land any significant ground and pound or get in any type of submission attempt scenarios, and he wasn't in that position long enough to win the fight, because shortly after Raul Rosa Jr. reversed it, not long after that. But Raul Rosa Jr. still beating, having the big step up in competition is what we were. Was what really was sticking out to me, was really highlighted about this fight, that Raul Rosa Jr. not really fought anyone ranked, and now he's going to be ranked after this win and beating Rob Font, who was ranked 13th in this, and ended up being a decision, unanimous 30-27, 30-27, 30-27. That's a 5 round, a 15-minute fight. So impressive just because of who he beat, but wouldn't necessarily say the fashion of it was impressive, but still impressive to be able to hold Rob Font down for pretty much 15 minutes straight. So we get this one right. So we start 2-1 on the card, but can't say I got the method on this one right, like I did the Rodriguez fight, the RoboCop fight earlier, but still not upset with that pick. Now then, on to the co-main event of this card. We have a middleweight bout between Caio Borralho versus Rener de Ridder. And so the big note or big storyline behind this fight was just how terrible Rener de Ridder looked in his last fight, where he got beat, and what was that? Allen, I think. What was that? Brendan Allen, was that who it was? Yeah, Brendan Allen just absolutely just like whooped him, and he just looked terrible in that fight. And it was, a lot of people were saying, because he didn't have good red blood cell count and he was sick going into that fight. But honestly, can't say he looked a whole lot better in this fight. Just in regards to, it looked like his punches didn't really have much on him, even though he was landing them a little bit. I think probably by the time the fight was over, it looked like Borralho had 2 black eyes, but it just didn't look like he was too serious in just the striking. And then when he'd get opportunities to clinch up with Caio Borralho, like to try to clinch up, he was never really able to complete a takedown. And then he's just going in for like these reckless like takedowns, where he's just like head down and looking to grab for legs and stuff, but just nothing. I'm surprised he didn't get finished. He did get rocked early on, and it seemed like if Caio Borralho would have like emptied the tank on him, kind of like we were talking about Rodolfo Bellato earlier. If he'd have done that, then he probably could have got Rener de Ridder out of there earlier, because it looked like, kind of as the fight kind of went on, it looked like Rener de Ridder was maybe looking a little bit better, which kind of leads to what the results of this fight and the method. It were kind of a little confusing, because you hear me talking how bad I thought Rener de Ridder looked in this fight. Well, I thought he kind of was starting to look a little bit better towards like the end of the second and in the third round. I think it was maybe more because Caio Borralho was starting to slow down a little bit. But I picked Rener de Ridder to win this fight. Was expecting it just to be by decision, because I know Caio Borralho, he's a tough, he's an MMA nerd, so I get that. but ended up being a middleweight a, a, decision victory by Kyle Borrello, defeating Renner de Ritter, unanimous decision. But it was 30-27, 30-27, 30-27, and that's three 5-minute rounds, 15 minutes, and it's just the 30-27s across the boards that are a little head scratching. Like I'd have probably said that maybe Renner de Ritter maybe won the second or maybe the third round, or maybe it was even the first round where the fight got broken up for a little while due to a groin strike, and then like it would kind of confuse judges a little bit. Maybe that's why it confused me into thinking that I thought Renner Ritter maybe actually won a round because uh, Kyle Borrello was like dominating him for like the first 2 or 3 minutes of the first round, and then he got a groin strike, and then it seemed like the fight was like broken up for a little while. There's a break in between after getting the groin strike. And then shortly after that, Renner de Ritter was able to clinch up with Kyle Borrello and then took him down and had him down for like last minute or so of the first round. So I think it was just the break in between from the groin strike kind of made it seem like there were 4 rounds in this fight, but there was really one. There was really just three, and the one was just split up and kind of confusing. Like you got to remember, before Borrello got hit in the groin, he was winning that round. So I don't know, that confused me a little bit, but still, I still don't think it should have been 30-27 across the board. But I still do think Kyle Borrello won that. So that gets me to 2-2 on this card, and I guess you could say I got this method right, but just not the winner or nothing. I thought the fight was going to decision, just didn't get the fighter right on that. All right, now then, on to the main event. The main event of UFC 326, Max Holloway versus Oliveira 2, Charles Oliveira 2, for the BMF title, and they're fighting that. And Max Holloway's defending that at lightweight, so they fought that at 155, even though it's not strictly or standard a weight class or anything. Because I'd personally, I'd love to see one of just any heavyweight come and fight Charles Oliveira, and let's see who the real true BMF is then. But anyways, I originally picked this fight for Charles Oliveira to win this by decision. I thought this fight would have been maybe a little more exciting, and maybe Max Holloway would have had a chance to be more competitive in this fight. But really, I was surprised that the odds really had Max Holloway as like the favorite coming into this fight. And man, they just wouldn't leave this old story alone. They were trying to like make this precedent or illusion or thought that Charles Oliveira was like a quitter or something early on in his career. I don't know. My memory isn't really great, but I don't remember that from what that would have been like 15 years ago, and they were bringing that as a big storyline to talk about when talking about him. And I've seen probably all of Charles Oliveira's fights, definitely all of them that have been in the UFC. And like even if that was like a moniker that kind of got on the back of Charles Oliveira, it hasn't been since he'd like won the title and rematched for it and fought Ilya Tapora. So like even if that was something that, like I said, kind of started following him around, I mean, that it would have been like 10, 15 years ago. So I don't know why they were bringing that up. And then I don't know why he was such an underdog to Max Holloway. So thought Max Holloway would have been able to get off a little bit more in the striking game and maybe be a little bit more effective in defending the takedowns in this fight. But Charles Oliveira looked like he was about 10 times stronger than Max Holloway in this fight, just in regards to, yeah, each round would start with Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway kind of just right in the center of the ring, and they'd kind of throw a couple combinations of punches, and even with the I guess the 5 times they started each round, they had those little meetings in the rings where they landed a couple fights, and then they'd clinch up, and Charles Oliveira would take Max Holloway down. But even in those meetings where they kind of meet at the center of the ring and though each fight starts standing, so there's going to be a little bit striking. But even with that, the punches and the combinations and the stuff that Charles Oliveira landing seemed like it had a lot more snap and pop and causing a lot more damage than anything Max Holloway was doing. And then after the first 2 rounds or so of basically the same thing happening, Charles Oliveira was basically just walking through the punches that Max Holloway was throwing, and he was just bear hugging him and picking him up and slamming him on the ground. And the first 2 times he did it, like the first and the second round, he was fighting pretty hard for trying to get a rear naked choke or a face crank or a head and arm triangle choke. But then after like the first 2 rounds, he was just basically doing what Raul Rosa Jr. did to Rob Font. And then kind of similar in that fight. I think it was either the fourth or the fifth round after they had their little combo striking affair at the start of, I think, the fourth or the fifth round. And then they clinched up. Max Holloway actually got the takedown on Charles Oliveira. But like we mentioned earlier, like seemed like Charles Oliveira was like kind of mentioning how Gregory Rodriguez looked like he was a couple weight classes bigger than Bruno Ferreira. Charles Oliveira, his back, like his muscles. And I'm not a huge tattoo guy, but that lion tattoo on his back was just, that was amazing. And it's just the muscle, like he just has so much more muscle than Max Holloway that it's just like he's just throwing him around. It was just too easy. So even though Max Holloway got a takedown late in this fight, Charles Oliveira just shortly after, not much control time by Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira just flipped him back over and finished the fight out, lay and pray. So he ended up winning. Charles Oliveira defeated Max Holloway decision 50-47, 50-47, 50-47. So not an impressive performance by Max Holloway, but we got this one right. We picked Charles Oliveira to win by decision. Didn't expect it to be quite as dominant, but that was 5-minute rounds for 25 minutes. And we have a new BMF champion now in Charles Oliveira. And I think the amount of ground control and a little bit too much laying and praying with not enough ground and pound or submission attempts kind of has people maybe questioning if that's BMF title winning worthy match or performance by Charles Oliveira. But hey, Max Holloway couldn't do anything to defend it. Max Holloway couldn't get back up to so we got more striking, or he didn't have any ground and pound striking from the bottom or any type of submissions by him. So hey, Charles Oliveira, I guess someone's going to have to take it, or one of them, depending on if Justin Gaethje fights Ilia Topuria, who's up next for the BMF title, or who's up next for the lightweight title. But so we did all right on this card in the picks. So we went 3-2 and two of the fights, 2 of the 3 wins, we actually got the method on them right as well. So not bad, but not great either. And the card itself just overall wasn't great. Like there were some good finishes and stuff, but there weren't like any like crazy like wild fights and like, oh yeah, like that's fight of the night can't potential or fight of the year potential. It's just March, but that's fight of the night potential. Like there wasn't any of that on this card. And hey, I'm saying that because obviously I'm not the only one that thinks that, because when we got fight of the night, there was no $100,000 bonus rewarded for fight of the night. So there really wasn't any a great fight, like competitive fight, back and forth war. There were just some pretty impressive knockouts mostly, and then just the one submission by Alberto Montez. But we did have some performance of the night, and probably all those guys I just mentioned off there, pretty much all the guys that got a finish in this fight ended up they get the 25,000 stoppage bonus and then a finish bonus, and then they also all got this $100,000 bonus. So that was nice of Dana White to do that. So we got a performance of the night. Drew Dober, his knockout over Michael Johnson. Gregory Rodriguez, his knockout over Brendan Ferrero. Alberto Montez's technical submission anaconda choke over Ricky Turcios, and then Rodolfo Bellato with his TKO uh, knockout of Luke Fernandez. So hey, I like that at least. I like that they gave all the fighters that uh, got got a stoppage 100,000 on top of the 25,000 bonus that's already written into their contract, because man, they had to give it to two other people. Two other people had to get a bonus because there was no like great back and forth war and fight of the night. But anyways, I think that's about all I have for you. I guess it's a little while before, it's more than a month before UFC three three three, was it 327? I think it's more than a month, but we'll be back for that. That's for what was that? That's Yari Prohaschek versus Carlos Ulmbridge for the lightweight title, and then I think that's the vacant light heavyweight bout, and then you. This is a card where hopefully, if it stays all together, hopefully you'll have actually two actual title fights on the card. And then you also have flyweight bout between Joshua Van, the champion, versus Mauricio Tierra. So I think that alone will maybe possibly lead UFC 327, and maybe doesn't have a large mountain or hill really to climb to be better than UFC 326. But I guess it's not. I guess if you're stating from the time that I'm going to post this, so March 10th, but April 11th. So I guess it was about a week's different from this past Saturday. Well, not really, just about a half a week. But anyway, so that's UFC 326. Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. It was good, but there's some of these next cards they can do better, and this whole just having a BMF title defended on the card, like that's not enough for me. That doesn't do it for me. I need more name recognition and more titles to be defended, and there needs to be a fight of the night on one of these on the main that comes from the main card, which just leaves, I don't know, just leaves a little bit, feels like there's desired from UFC 326. But hey, it's just March. We got what, 9 more months to go, so I think we'll find some other cards in there that'll do better. That'll get the blood moving a little bit more on top with fight nights and numbered card premium live events. But anyways, I think that's about all I have for you. So can I get a check, please?